But please, no vessel.
Okay.
All the things we're going to ask you.
Okay.
No vessel.
So welcome back to another educational video under the Copyright Acts of the US and Nigeria, which provides for fair use for the purposes of commentary and education. This video is an educational video based on the interview that Lily Pope did of Editorial. It revealed a lot, but the number one question is, who actually owns Edigolden? This content is developed under free speech. This gives me the right to hold an opinion. Commenters are, as usual, encouraged to share their perspectives. So, Lily rarely tapped Editorial like palm wine in that interview. She tapped and tapped and tapped into Editorial's grace, trying to find that information, and asked her what I think were a lot of very personal questions. And I think that if Editorial really was the boss lady CEO, as she said, she should have said to Lily Pope, I'm not going to answer that, and no comment. But she revealed a lot, which I think was completely unnecessary.
Okay, first of all, I know the name of the hotel, Edi. I know see where Emma enter. I'm like, share na Igbo man be this. So when I walked in, I'm like, I felt his picture was also supposed to be there. I did not see your husband's own picture there. And I'm like, you introduced him as the MD. And then I walked into the office. This your office. And I'm seeing this.
Okay.
I did not see his own too. And I know that he is also the builder of this hotel.
So essentially, what Lily is saying is that she believes that as the man, Editorial's husband is the owner of Edigolden, that he should be fronting it. Like, how dare Editorial be the one to front this hotel? Now, for me, I believe Editorial, you should just own your glory, own your grace. You were the one that got that money for the hotel. You were the one that had the idea to build that hotel. Just because your husband built it, does it mean that if you hired an engineer to build that hotel from beginning to end, that means that that engineer now becomes the MD? No. So just because he's your husband, just pay him off if that's what you feel like, because it was your money and it's okay for you to own what you have. So I don't believe that Lily is right to insist that Mazzy, because he built the hotel, his picture should be there, his name should be there in the hotel. It's Editorial's hotel. But I just felt that Editorial, I think she was just too naive. Like I said, I would not have allowed that interview at all. And Editorial has shown her naivety with this hotel right from the beginning. So when she initially broke the news of the fact that she'd built this hotel, she came up with all of this.
Yeah, and this is a lifetime business. It's a lifetime wealth, but I've been able to build this for my children, my grandchildren, my parents.
So you said your parents. So which parents are you talking about? Because we know, this is why I'm so happy that I went through your life story. For 13 years, you were not with your mum. You got your mum at the age of 13. She'd married somebody else. She had 2 more children. Your stepdad, you stayed with your mum in Lagos for just 3 years before you now left. I think 2003, 2004, you went to Abuja. So the parents you're talking about is your stepdad that did not come to your wedding, doesn't like your husband, hasn't come to your wedding, didn't come to your child dedication, didn't even come to the hotel opening, but now you're trying to build wealth for this stepdad of 3 years. That's why I said I believe that Editorial is a bit naive, and she needs to really step up as a CEO boss lady and have a clearer vision for this thing that she's building, because if not, she's going to end up losing it. So now it looks like there are a lot of people who are now fighting to get a piece of Editorial's hotel, because she's now saying that she's building wealth for everybody. It's not going to be possible. So I've noticed that her stepdad of 3 years is wearing, after blanking her, by not attending her wedding, dedication, hotel opening, etc., is now wearing the polo shirt for Edigolden. I mean, you couldn't really make this up. And then you got G Gift the other day saying to him, oh, yes, you're wearing your daughter's polo shirt. So I just feel like, Editorial is very naive. And I don't think she really realizes what she's getting herself into.
And so that all of us could be elevated from that poverty. So I need to create everlasting wealth for my children, my family, my unborn grandchildren, and my generation.
And so essentially what you're saying is that this hotel that you've built now is for everybody. It's for your children and your and their children. It's even for your siblings, Jenny and Kemsey, who are now married to other men. For your parents, including your stepdad, who you only lived with for 3 years. Then what about your husband and the fact that you have now built this hotel in the state, which is not your state. You're married to a man which is not from your state, and you have this massive investment in the state where you're not an indigent. I just feel there's a huge recipe for issues here, and I don't think maybe you have thought about what the implications are of this hotel that you're saying you're building generational wealth for everybody. And let's not remember, you've been scammed out of this same land once by the very man that you're married to. So the whole thing is just very, very messy. So it helps me to understand why you were able to sit down and allow Lily Pope to completely decimate you with those questions, and you were not prepared, and you didn't have the guts or the balls to say to her, hold up, let me see the interview questions first. I will only answer this, I will not answer that. You answered the questions, every single question, and you answered a lot of them very, very poorly. So this explains maybe why you were scammed out of that land initially. So when you first bought the land for the hotel in 2017 or 2018, the husband that you're now married to sold you that land and then went and sold it to somebody else. And then your cousin UK now had to fight for you to get that land back. You now went on to go and marry the same man. I think for me, it just shows me that there's a lot of naivety there, and I'm a bit worried about what is going to actually happen to this hotel, because you don't seem to have like a clear vision or a clear plan. There's a big potential that you'll be scammed once again, because you just don't seem to have a clear vision or clear plan about what's going on with this hotel. And the reason why I think this is even more concerning or even more worrying now is that you've now been cut off, because of this family saga, from people who actually would have maybe a critical eye to say, oh, Editorial, be careful of this, be careful of that. You've now cut them off in favor of your stepdad of 3 years, your mum that maybe doesn't have the business understanding of, what needs to happen to keep that hotel and protect it for you. You've now cut off your cousin UK, who was the one who fought for the land. I'm not saying that UK was perfect. I'm not saying that UK hasn't done some things which are whatever, but you've cut that person off. And you are now surrounded by people who, I believe there's going to be a fight for this land and this Edigolden Hotel again. And you're not going to be prepared. And one of the biggest people that you have cut off, and it all starts to make sense now, why UK's mum has been blasted and abused as part of this saga. I feel it's because they are trying to cut you off from another source of support that will be able to tell you, oh, baby girl, please be very careful. Make sure you do this. Make sure you do that. You've been cut off from all of these advisors, and you're not even aware. It's like you're going blindfolded into another situation where you're going to lose your hotel and your land.
She's just been like, let me tell you guys something. When I wanted to resign from my work, she was telling me that, oh, baby girl, don't resign, because she does call me baby girl.
So, this is Editorial talking about her aunts, and her and the aunt were very, very close. I've told you before that I believe that, Editorial wishes that the aunt actually was her mother. Maybe P should have been G Gift's daughter, but she wishes that her aunt was her mother. They actually look alike. So, she had great affection for her aunt, always buying her gifts. So you can see her there buying the phone for her auntie. This is around the time that she actually met Mazzy. And Mazzy, I think, is the one holding the camera. why she's saying that she's buying a phone for her auntie. And you can see in the next clip where I told you, when Editorial is around her aunt, whenever her aunt is talking, her aunt talks a lot of wisdom. You see Editorial listening to every single word.
As much as possible, I'm trying to encourage you. Even if I have an assistant to assist them to grow better, that I will do. God willing. Yes.
So remember, her aunt is an educated woman, a senior civil servant. She's already bought land, built houses. So she's very conversant, and she's a great source of wisdom. So we can now start to see why she was now, ever since Editorial got married, she's now been accused of being a witch. Editorial's husband accused her of being a witch. And we can even see how deeply he has issues with this auntie, because Jenny now came out defending Mazzy, and it's very clear that Mazzy has told her, or told his wife, and Editorial has now told the sister, that the aunt insulted him. So it's clear that Mazzy has a great issue with this woman. And I believe that the reason why he has a great issue is because he knows that this is one of the few sources of strength around Editorial that will ensure that she does not lose her hotel and she doesn't lose her land.
But when a mom saw my sister's husband, they tell her to say you are not family. Who does that? Ukeme's mother saw my sister's husband, tell her for in front that he should keep quiet. That is not part of the family. Who does that?
So you can see where there's animosity towards the aunt unnecessarily. And I think, this is just my opinion, but I believe it's because they know that this woman is very, very strong. And, she will, if Editorial was close to her, Editorial would confide in her about certain things which she's been asked to do when it comes to that land and that hotel. And she would advise her, no, don't do this. No, I have somebody you can go and see. But now Editorial has been cut off from that sense of wisdom, that source of wisdom and support. And it's not looking good. So, we have mentioned several times on this street, the hotel always seems to be empty. She says that the parking lot is usually empty because she only videos it after customers have left in the morning. But, even early in the morning, Lily Pope came out as Dadim was leaving the hotel. There were no cars there. Even when she arrived the first time, very, very early from Abuja, you could see that the parking lot was empty. So that's one of the concerns. The other concern that I picked up in the previous video is that there's no website for the hotel. How can the hotel not have a website? Even if it's the most basic thing, you should have a website. The website has been down for some time. Even when there was a website, the website was just so basic for that level of hotel. You think, why? So who is advising Editorial with this? And the same applies to the Facebook page. Nothing has been posted on that Facebook page since June of last year. And the only thing you can see on Facebook was this job vacancy when they were looking for staff, a good looking female for the hotel opening. So definitely the hotel does not seem to be being run well at the moment. And this is very surprising because if you look at Editorial's initial website for her Editorial 556, which was part of her Natural Beauty YouTube channel, you can see when Editorial, before she got married, she was very tech savvy. You heard how she got herself trained in computer school. She was learning how to get at the website by herself. You can see how professional her own personal website is. So she knows what to do when it comes to websites. So why is it more than 2 years now, the website is down and there's no basic website? What's going on? Who's in charge of this website that it's down at the moment? And it's not that difficult to get a website. You can get a website from somewhere like Wix.com, where, even if you don't know how to code, there's no need to go and get an expensive web designer. You just go onto something like Wix.com or even GoDaddy. They have lots of ready-made pre-templates that you can use. So, for instance, she's in the hotel business. Just go to the hotel business and pick a hotel theme, and then you're good to go. You just put your pictures in, change the writing, and then you have a website. It doesn't have to be anything too involved. So I'm just not sure what's happening with that website. So that's one big concern with the website. But for me, the other big concern is that, is Edigolden even legal at the moment? Is it trading legally as Edigolden? Now, if you want to trade legally as a hotel in Nigeria, first of all, you have to incorporate with the Corporate Affairs Commission, give them a name, your MOU, say how many shares you're going to have, at least 1 million naira. Then you've got to get a tax number and register. Yeah. And then you apply for a hotel license, and then you do a few other things that you need. Now, Editorial is suggesting that she has done this.
Just highlight us a little how you handle the finance of this place with your partner.
Oh, when it comes to finance, we do joints, right?
I mean, that just sounds so basic. I mean, if someone asks you, how do you handle the finances of this hotel? You're meant to be an economist, Editorial. It might be because you're talking to Lily, who doesn't have a degree, or at least not one in finance. So therefore, you want to keep it simple for her. But even then, just to say, oh, we handle this hotel, we do joints. What is that? What do you mean joint?
When it comes to finance, we do joints, right? It's a company account. It's not personal account. Yes. So, because of course, you cannot have this kind of building and run it in personal account.
No, you don't. You will not run it in the personal account. No, you run it in the business account. It doesn't mean that you cannot be the owner of the business, Editorial. So is this what you've been told, that yes, because it's a big business like this, you can't run it by yourself? There are many business owners out there who are sole traders who run a business by themselves. You did not have to put your husband's name on there. So have you been advised that because this hotel is so big that you can't run it with a personal account, which is true, but it has to be a joint account? No, it doesn't have to be a joint account, but yes, it has to be a business account, and maybe it will only be your name on there. Maybe you will give your financial advisor access to the account as well. But it doesn't have to be a joint account where you're sharing with somebody else.
Do you understand? Because we have to register the company, we have to have CSC number, we have to have, there's this number they used to give us again for tax payment.
So how can you not know the tax payment number? Now, it might be that you have an accountant, but I don't think you've got an accountant, Editorial. Just like your website, which is down, I think you and your husband are trying to organize this whole thing by yourself and involve as little people as possible.
All right. So you cannot run this business and have it personal account. So no.
But shouldn't you, as an economist and CEO, know a bit more detail about the tax number that you need? You mentioned the CAC.
Because we have to register the company, we have to have CSC number.
So the CAC number that you have to have comes from the Corporate Affairs Commission of Nigeria. So you can find that on this website. So what I'm confused about is that when I type in Edigolden, there are 3 businesses that come up with Edigolden in the name. Now you've got this one, which is in Lagos, which is inactive anyway, and that was in 1996. So we know this is not your company. You've got Edigolden Skin Care and Spa, which opened or was made active, and it's still active now. Date of registration, March the 10th, 2022. So that was the year that you launched your hotel. And this company, you might think, okay, it's active. Maybe your hotel is underneath this company, but this is not in Cairo, Abuja. This is in, I think, Lubja, Abuja. But this one, EdiGolden Hotels and Garden Limited, it is inactive. It was registered September the 3rd, 2019. So I think maybe this is when you started building the hotel. But at the moment, it's inactive. So what I'm not understanding is that if you have an inactive registration with the CAC, how can you be trading? Why is it inactive? Because it's known that CAC inactive companies cannot be legally trading. That means that you shouldn't really be selling any services, and people shouldn't be doing any business with you. Now, the reason why it will be inactive is because you have not, every single year, you're meant to file a return. Things such as who are the directors, what's the registered address. So if you've not filed those annual returns, it means that your company is inactive, and then of course you have to pay the necessary fees. Now, it's not like the fees are a lot of money. I think when I looked, it was about 20,000, 50,000 naira, which for you as a boss lady CEO is nothing. So why have the fees not been paid to the point that your company is now listed as inactive, but you're still trading? We saw you host Lily Pope in your hotel. And this is why I said at the end of the day, I feel that you're a bit naive. Is it that your hotel, without you knowing, is trading under another name? Because it doesn't seem like you have made any active steps to be in charge of reaching out to the CAC, reaching out to make sure your tax returns are filed. So how do you know that your hotel has not been taken and you've not been scammed again, and it's now been registered under another name? How do you know that, Editorial? Because actual listing, you can see here, Editorial and Edigolden and Garden Limited is inactive. Now, we don't know how long it's been inactive for. Maybe it could be 1 week, 2 weeks. But I've been checking this since the beginning of the year, and it's been inactive. So maybe it's been inactive since 2019. Maybe it's never been activated since the time you registered. We don't know. But you need to get on top of that, Editorial, because, that needs to be active. And if maybe it's trading under another name, then you need to find out which other name to make sure that nobody has taken over your hotel. So the question is, who owns Edigolden then? Because, like I said, there's a chance that maybe the hotel is called Edigolden, but it's being registered under another company, which is very dangerous for Editorial. Now, if you look at this website here, b2bhint.com, this is a website that goes into greater detail about who owns these companies. So here you can actually see Edigolden Hotels and Garden. It's limited by shares, but the status is, even on this website, is inactive. So you might say, oh yes, maybe the CAC website is not correct. But this website also is showing the company as having an inactive status. It has 1 million shares. The activity, and this is another big thing with this registration as well, is that the type of activity is unspecified. If you're into hotels, it should say hotel. If you're into beauty cosmetics, it should say hotel, beauty cosmetics. Maybe if you're a bakery, you say bakery, oil and gas. But nothing is specified there as to what does this company actually do. So it's suggesting that, this company, when you registered it, nothing has been done with that company. And the company, your hotel is being traded under maybe something else. We know that definitely. You can see here the contact is Eddie somebody. So I'm suggesting, I think that this is your email address. But the people who seem to be in charge, especially the officers, seem to be a legal practitioner. Now, I would have thought as the officers, the CEO, you should be there. You said your husband is the MD. Your husband's name should be there. But you've got the person who helped you to incorporate. Teresa Chukwuma is the person who actually is there listed as the officer on your company. So, this Teresa, she actually has registered quite a number of companies here. And, what's quite surprising is that most of the companies that are listed underneath her on this website, the 50 plus companies, only 2 of them have active registrations, only 2. Yours plus the remaining 48 are all inactive. Out of the 50, only 2. And this is one of them, Emeka and Sons. You can see it has an active status. When you look at you can see there, for an active company, you can see there the description, and it's very, very clear they're into oil and gas, business services, but your company shows nothing. And then when you go down to the contact details, you can see yes, the lawyer is listed as one of the officers, but importantly, 2 people who own or have significant control in terms of shares, like ownership, are there listed. So for your website, none of that is there. The question I start asking myself is Edigolden, is this the company that Edigolden is listed under? So maybe the name has been changed, but maybe Editorial, that the company is listed under another name. So it might be Edigolden on top of the hotel, but the company that is under is something completely different. It might be your husband's company, Workable Properties Investments, although I checked on the CAC website and there's no company which is incorporated with that name. So maybe there's another name that is incorporated under. But then you say this to Lily Pope.
Let's talk about the name. Now, my husband was the one that carved out that name. He said, use whatever you want. Whatever you put is okay. And I said, okay, let's use Editorial's hotel. And he accepted. We gave somebody to register it, and unfortunately, the name was already taken. My husband now said, choose another name, and I choose Eddie Hotel. And he said, why not use Golden and add to it? So I now said, okay, Golden will be much. And then that was when I now asked him that, okay, won't it sound like it is just me? And he said, but what about the E? My name is Emmanuel, your name is Edith, is E.
I mean, I'm with Lily Pope because I just think the whole thing just sounds very naive, editorial. So it's clear now that your hotel you believe is registered under Edigolden, but as I've shown you, Edigolden does not have an active status. So are you sure? So are you sure that you're not being taken again, for this your land and your hotel? And your hotel, you've confirmed to us, is definitely registered under Edigolden. And even though you're saying with this interview with Lily Pope that you believe that you co-own the hotel, well, number one, there are no documents showing that you and your husband's names are on that Edigolden inactive site together.
He's the owner of this place, just like me.
Okay.
We are co-owners.
But he's doing like he's
No, he's not.
himself.
He's only just trying to give me my glory. Do you understand? But we are co-owners here.
I mean, I don't believe, I don't know what's going on. I don't know whether both you and your husband are trying to play one. Maybe you're trying to make your husband believe he's a co-owner by giving him that title MD, by making him believe that he's buying a few things here and there, so therefore he's a co-owner. But is his name actually on any papers? Because we haven't seen that, number one. Secondly, maybe your husband is playing you as well. Like he's just trying to say, okay, no problem, editorial, call the hotel what you want, put your picture up everywhere, it doesn't really matter. But maybe, and I don't want to even say this, but he scammed you once before. So, maybe he's playing the long game with this hotel. And, he's allowing you to believe that, oh yes, let her do what she wants. But meanwhile, I know what my plan is for the hotel. I don't know.
We own this place. It's not just me. He built this place.
Because he built the place, it doesn't mean that he co-owns it, editorial. As a woman, if your husband had opened a shop selling fufu, and then because you came into the shop and you are pounding the fufu for your husband, but your husband was the one that got the capital for the shop, your husband was the one that had the vision for the shop, your husband is the one that's even selling the thing at the front of the shop to customers, are you now going to come in and say, oh yes, because I pounded the fufu, then that means I'm now going to get part of that? I mean, I know that husbands and wives, they do it, but it doesn't follow that because he built it. Because as I said to you before, if your husband hadn't forced the other engineer to step down and the other engineer had taken that hotel from beginning to end, are you going to tell me that the engineer would now be a co-owner of that place?
Do you understand? From beginning to the end, we co-own this place now, our hotel. But he's allowing me to front it.
Yes.
To stand in the front. He does not want to dim my beautiful light. God bless me.
The reason.
So you're saying that you and your husband co-own the hotel, but then you start to contradict yourself where it's clear that you believe that you are the owner of the hotel.
My husband had an office. That's why you do not see him. When you were asking where is my husband, he does not, his office is up.
Okay.
My husband, you see that picture? My husband was the one that said, are you not going to put your picture at the reception? He has always been promising me that he's not going to take my glory, and he does not want to make it look as if he is trying to suppress me.
So I mean, this is just you speaking, editorial, because you deep down believe that this hotel is yours. Deep down, you believe, whether your husband built it or not, you understand, you believe that deep down this hotel is yours. However, there's a lot of wider criticism out there that do not believe that you as a woman including Lily Pope, which is why she's coming with these questions, should be the one to actually own this. How can you own this hotel when your husband is there? Which is why she started saying, oh, he built this place. Why is his picture not here and there? But you deep down believe that you are the owner of this hotel. And I'm sure you've had this discussion with your hotel. Don't suppress me. Don't take my glory away. I suffered for this. I did this and I did that. So now you are speaking like it's your husband speaking, but really it's you speaking.
Suppress me because
You can see Lily doesn't even believe what you're saying, because she believes that the man should be dominant.
because I have worked so hard.
It's Lily Pope. I mean, Editorial, why did you even grant this interview in the first place? Why, as the boss lady CEO, did you not sit down and compose yourself? You know, if somebody comes to ask you for an interview, the first thing you ask as a boss, as the MD, managing director, the first thing that you'd ask is, can I see the questions, please? And then when you see the questions, you say, okay, fine, I will answer this, I will not answer that. Why do you want to know that? Where and then when the interview is done, before you post that interview, can you send it to me so I can approve or edit the parts which I feel should be in the interview? This is what you should have done. You should never have allowed someone like Lily Pope to come all the way from Asaba, Orcas, Asaba, Abuja, to open her legs on your chair and now start going deeper with these type of questions, because you were not prepared. And, it's very clear, Edith, that, you believe that this hotel is your business. Forget about you going there and trying to tell the world that, oh, yes, my husband just wants me to be the front of the business, but we co-own this together. It's not true, because you make it very clear time and time again in the interview that Mazi has his own business. As you said, his office is up.
When you said, if you tell him to put his picture, he will do like, okay, no problem, later.
My husband is into real estate. In fact,
I know.
See very clearly from here, my husband is into real estate. Real estate is Mazi's business. As far as Editorial is concerned, this is her hotel. She is the boss lady CEO. So if you didn't want to answer this question, you should have just told Lily, I'm not answering those questions. Or come out boldly and just say, this is my hotel. There's nothing wrong as a woman, you owning your own business, Editorial, and being very proud to say you own the business. You don't have to hide behind your husband in 2025. So, as Editorial entered one chance again with this hotel and this land, because if you look at everything on the ground, it doesn't look very good.
So whoever sees EdiGolden, your name is not just Eddie, your name is Edith, right? And my name is Emmanuel. So using EdiGolden, the E signify us.
How? The E is not even the E, it's the Eddie. The Eddie means Editorial or Edith. Yes, it doesn't mean, it's not Emmy Golden. So the E is EdiGolden. It's up. You yourself mentioned that it went to Editorial, then it went to Editorial's hotel. So we know it had nothing to do with your husband's name at all.
So he was just trying to make me feel better. Do you understand?
Yeah, even Lily, shaking her head. Even she doesn't agree. She's not shaking her head from saying no, 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 no.
That yes, since we did this together, we are taking the glory together. So the name is not just only me. The name is us, Edith and Emmanuel. So it's one E. His name starts from E, while my own starts from E. Do you understand? That's for the name of the hotel.
So, I mean, the thing is this even how, as an economist, so like I said, going back to the ownership of the hotel. And the other thing that makes me feel that you're not really in control of this project, this hotel and this land, Editorial, is number one, you've been scammed once. But secondly, you're not really clear about the finances of the hotel. Now, you've come out to tell us that this hotel is a multi-billion naira hotel. And that is a lot of money. If we look at how much billions were, let's say 2019, 2020, you said multi-billion. So let's say 2.5 billion naira. That basically is about £5 million. I don't think that hotel cost £5 million. I know that you earned a lot of money on your YouTube channel, but £5 million? anyway, anything is possible. Yeah. Now, the reason why this is really important, and I said that, it doesn't seem that you seem to have great understanding of the finances of your hotels, because you said that you've hired 30 staff. Let's say on average you're paying them 100,000 naira a month. It may be more than that. Then you said that you're using 90,000 in diesel. So basically, you are spending each month about 5.8 million naira. Yeah. The rooms you said that you are charging in your hotel, they go from 12,000 naira to 20,000 naira. So let's say on average 15,000 naira per night. Now, if only 30% of your hotel, you book 30% of your hotel every single month, then that means you're going to make 3.6 million. Now, the reason why this is really important to understand is because if you spent 2.5 billion building that hotel, then if only 30% of your rooms are occupied, it's going to take you 57 years to just get your money back. Forget about profit. Yeah. If it's 50% occupancy, it's going to take you 20 years. And then at 70% occupancy, it's going to take you 12 years. So it's like the hotel doesn't seem to be operating in the sense of you trying to make money so that you can actually get your money back. It seems like the way you're acting, you're operating that hotel is you've got all of this money in the bank, and as far as you're concerned, you've built the hotel now. So now you can spend on Chanel bags and Zara bags and all this other stuff that you're lavishly spending on. But you're not focusing on the fact that how can we get the return on investment? As an economist, this is how you should be speaking. How can I get my original investment back so that I can now start to make a profit? And like I said, it's going to take a good number of years at the amount of money that you're charging and all of the bills that you have to pay to make that money back. So when Lily Pope asks you about the finances, you don't seem to mention any of these costs. You speak in a really basic way. And like I said, it might be because Lily Pope herself is basic, so she doesn't really understand much, so you didn't want to explain. But there would have been certain things that you would have said, like, yes, we have to get back our original investment into this property. And so therefore, our main goal now is marketing. We have to make sure that we try and get as many people into the rooms as possible. We have our event space, we have this, we have that. You didn't mention anything like that. You were talking about bottled water.
We want to buy water. If he's around, he will buy it and tell me. If I'm around, I'll buy it and tell him. He does the spending sometimes and tell me. I do the spending sometimes and tell him. But he's the one that buys most of the things. So he's the one that does the spending.
I mean, is this how an economist talks? And somebody who's the CEO of a multi-billion naira hotel, where you've got to get this money back, this money that you spent. Is that how you speak? You're talking about buying water, and then you're saying that you give everything to your husband, but you're then saying that your husband is a lavish spender, so he doesn't know how to handle money.
Because of course my husband is not like me, right? My husband is a lavish spender, while me, I'm a very calculative spender. It is something that we have to liberate. It is something that we have to liberate, just like we're renovating our rooms. We liberate on it, and then we chose the color of the paint, we chose the type of things, and then we always tend to go to the market the first time to choose, and then so we can know price, and then send someone to get it for us. So we co-decide on the finance of this place. So that's to let you know that we co-own here.
No, Editorial, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, the finances of that place are the money that you've put in and ensuring that you get your money back and you spend money wisely. What's the color of the rooms and buying water? What does that have to do with anything? And, that doesn't show that because you buy water together, that the both of you co-own that place. So who actually owns Edigolden?
But what I'm trying to tell you, there are men who will be like, because of how huge this thing is, they must want to fix in because they respect, madam,
yes,
sir.
What I wanted to say is,
I mean, Lily Pope, as much as she annoys me, her interview actually was very deep. The only thing is, I would say to Editorial, you shouldn't have granted that interview. But from the point of view of Lily asking those questions, Lily actually asked the right questions that expose the fact that Editorial doesn't seem to know what she's doing with her own hotel. And so what I would suggest to Editorial now is that you need to go and get a proper will. You need to get a financial advisor, number one. And you need to get a financial and proper legal advisor who owns Edigolden Hotel, because your name is not on any documents at the moment. I can guarantee you, your hotel doesn't seem to be registered under Edigolden. And like I said, you are at risk of being scammed out of your hotel again. Like I said, you don't have any critical advisors, no family, strong family around that can fight for you this time. So you need to be very clear about what you're doing. At the beginning, I mentioned about the fact that you have this big fantasy in your mind that you're growing this hotel for everybody, including your stepdad. I will say to you, go and see a financial advisor and a legal practitioner, so you can go and write up your will, get a good strategy for your finances, so that you can be clear about what you're doing. You have to remember, you are married to somebody who's not from your tribe. You built a huge hotel in a state which is not your state. You now don't have any strong family members around. And it's very easy for you to lose control of that hotel because you don't have the necessary expertise around. So I would suggest just be very mindful and be very, very clear about what's actually happening with your hotel, because at the moment it doesn't look good. So let me know in the comments section down below, why do you think Edigolden Hotel is inactive? Do you believe that her hotel is actually listed under another company without her knowing? Do you think that she is being naive in trying to build generational wealth for a stepdad that she lived with for just three years, and trying to build generational wealth for all of her family in her state? Do you believe that she can actually control this hotel and she's actually in charge of the finances of her hotel? Let me know in the comments down below.
He's not going to take my glory.